Good morning and welcome back to an even more crazy world today. And let's just go back a little bit to another time in history when music actually played a part in society. And let me quote 3 lines from 3 songs by Bob Dylan. You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. Number 1. And the times, they are a-changing, that's for sure. And I met a man wounded with hatred. Very true. All still very relevant today. Now, I don't hate anyone, even though I dislike Starmer intensely. And hate is a self-defeating emotion that eventually turns on its perpetrator. But hate in today's world is still around big time and spreads like wildfire by propaganda. And propaganda is probably more strong today than it was since World War II. That's a fact. And a little bit of turning back the pages of history reveal quite a lot about perceived hatred. Now, anyone can look this up. The British ruling establishment has hated Russia for 200 years, at least that. And John Stuart Hall wrote back in 1836, the real cause for increasing British military budgets was that ministers are smitten with the epidemic disease of Russia-phobia. And this was 17 years before the British invaded Crimea. Britain, along with the USA, tried 3 times to invade Russia after the 1918 revolution. And between 1919 and 1922, at the end of the World War II, when Russia-Soviet Union had single-handedly defeated the German Third Reich on behalf of the West, Soviet General Zhukov said, "The West will never forgive us for saving them." And Churchill, not a lot of people know this, but Churchill, immediately after the war, wanted to gather all the troops with the help of President Eisenhower and the Allies to attack the Soviet Union to finish them off. And it was called Operation Unthinkable. Fortunately, America backed away, or shall I say wisely, America backed away. Now move along around 70 years and the UK, who orchestrated the 2011 war on Syria on behalf of the Empire, were furious when in 2015 Russia stepped in and destroyed Britain's plans. This is why the Salisbury poisoning was a false flag and was created by Theresa May. And of course, if you look on the map, Salisbury is very, very conveniently placed near Porton Down. Look up Porton Down, see what it says. And the British hatred for Russia and all things Russian seem to be in the very DNA and continues today with ferocity. Now, I did witness the Trump-Starmer meeting and Starmer humiliating himself in front of the world. He blew so much smoke up Trump's backside, I thought they might call the fire brigade. As for Zelensky, he was sent home with his towel between his legs. No deal. Apart, of course, the $2 billion a year for 100 years promised by Starmer, stolen from British pensioners. But in these crazy times, we are promised everything. But do you believe everything you read? The main questions are this. Will Trump release the JFK files as he promised? Also the Epstein files and the names on it. Will he abandon the IRS, which is the Internal Revenue Service, and income tax? Will he put troops in Ukraine to help the British? Will he do anything he promised? We don't know. Trump is a powerful man now. He's got everything behind him. Everything. And he does talk some rubbish. A lot of rubbish, actually. And will Elon Musk do anything useful apart from his ambition to become the world's first trillionaire? Will RFK loosen Big Pharma's global control, enslaving a whole generation of useless vaccines? I think children today in America have it. When by the time they're 14, they have 72 vaccines. Will RFK finally get Dr. Fauci into a courtroom or stop giving children antidepressants? Stop gender-altering surgery? And the answer is, we simply don't know. And neither do MSM. So let's things settle down to a rolling boil, and then we can have another look maybe in the near future. And even the alternative media is confused. And just maybe that's the plan. Now, everything I post on my monologue or monologues is what I believe to be the truth, and I'm sure many will frown on them. But having said that, far more will agree, I'm sure. And I'm just an ordinary Joe Bloggs at the bottom of the feed who didn't vote for these people in charge of a dying Britain. And I strongly disagree with their policies. And I tend to research everything and listen to people far more knowledgeable than myself. Of course, anyone can do this, but many don't know how, or don't have the time, and sometimes no inclination to do so. And that is why I'm here to spread a little bit of genuine news to ordinary people on the ground who still believe mainstream media. And I do realise, of course, that I have more time to do so than most people, because now this has become my hobby. And you would be really surprised to know that there are numerous government websites that offer information freely. And there are thousands and thousands of reliable information centres if you take time to find them. But tread carefully, because there are many, like Wikipedia, who actually speak for the government. And it appears to me and everyone I know that we have a totalitarian government who frowns on free speech. And they don't want to hear any dissent at all, even from little people like me. And that is not democracy. It's not kosher. It's not done. It's not acceptable. It's just not cricket. Now, that little saying there is just not cricket. It's been around for years and years, long, long before any of this cabinet and their parents or grandparents were born. Like I say, I have opinions, but I form those opinions by reading and listening to a lot of high-profile people, many of whom are on YouTube, and I will hopefully post a list. And I'll copy it into comments or maybe under more that many of you can't find because you're watching on TV. And more is highlighted and only visible on your phone. That's where you'll find all the comments and the links. And I must put one man forward more than anyone else, and that is Edward Dutton. And he broadcasts as the Jolly Heretic on YouTube. and a man who admits to autistic traits, but as a professor of theology and anthropology with an IQ of 140, formerly a professor in Finland, but now holds a post in Lodz University in Poland, he's certainly a high-functioning autistic. And he is also the most entertaining person you'd like to meet, and very, very sensible. I suggest you look him up, especially the Jolly Heretic public house. That is something that happens twice a week, I believe. And I'll leave a link. But don't forget, you can only see it on your phone. So, once again, please like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm to spread the message. So, thanks for listening to An Old Man on a Saturday Morning. Bye-bye.